Well, good evening and welcome to the March 3rd, 2020 meeting of West Grey Council. We did have a start time of 6 p.m. We had an in-camera session. We are now going into open session by way of this motion. Moved by Councillor Hergert, seconded by, moved by Councillor Hergert, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality hereby returns to open session of Council at 7:20 p.m. Members of Council, are there any questions or comments on the motion? If not, on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. I can say that the items that we went in camera for were the only items that we did discuss. All right, so we are now on item 6, which is the comment period. We have nobody in the audience, so we'll just swiftly move past that. Item 7, public meetings. There are none. Consent agenda, which is item 8. I do have a motion before me, and that is moved by Councillor Townsend, seconded by Councillor Hutchinson. Be resolved that items A1 to A3 inclusive, contained in Part 1 consent agenda, be adopted as amended, and further that authorization be given for the action to be taken as may be necessary to give effect to the recommendations contained therein as amended. Clerk Turner, could you please speak to the amendments?
Yes, there was a requested change by Councillor Hergert on the February 18th Council draft minutes. On page 4, Resolution 35 of 20 relating to the vision plan, the seconder being Councillor Townsend had not been noted on it, so that was added.
Okay. So I'm just going to make one comment before we approve this, and that is on the Dark Skies Committee, and I did just check procedural component with our clerk. My comment is that the Dark Skies Committee talks about promotional material in the form of brochures and also being out with a promotional tent discussing Dark Skies mandate and just awareness for that type of initiative. It's all been agreed by council, and I just want to amplify it again that any of the promotion items go through our communications section and to vet for messaging and appropriateness. Okay, and I know you hear that loud and clear, and thank you very much for that. Is there anything further? Councillor Hergert, please.
Yes, I was hoping that the Soggy Valley Conservation Authority minutes could be pulled for further discussion.
Okay, so we can pull that, SVCA, and we could put that under new business, Clerk Turner. So, okay, we'll do that. Is there anything further? All right, on this motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Okay, thank you. All right, so that takes us all the way into item 9, regular agenda. So we're at communications on item 10. Communications from Mayor and members of Council. I will begin. I'll go to our Deputy Mayor and then over to Councillor Hutchinson, and we'll go through the horseshoe in that fashion. First thing I would like to say is thank you very much to staff, public works staff, our police, our fire department, EMS, also communication, EMS being at the county, and our communication department for your assistance during our significant weather event. I very much appreciate all of your efforts. Director Sherinsky, thank you very much. I know that that special weather event has been concluded, so that is certainly a bonus there, but I wanted to highlight the effort from staff. I also want to let members of council know, but also our citizens, that on February 13th at Grey County Committee of the Whole, we received a delegation presentation with regard to pandemic planning and coronavirus update. The presentation was from Deanna Leach, who is the Public Health Manager of Infectious Diseases. Also Marlene McLevy of Grey County. She is the County Emergency Management Coordinator, made a presentation as well. If you're so inclined, go on grey.ca, and under February 3rd Committee of the Whole agenda, there is a video that you could watch if interested. I do want to say that March break, Art Gallery Takeover, is taking place on the March break, March 16th to the 20th. Sign up on our West Grey website. There's spaces available for a March break fun. This past week and weekend, I was at the Good Roads Association conference, and I had the opportunity to be part of a Grey County delegation with Minister Mulroney, Minister of Transportation, regarding an integrated regional transportation strategy. So that was most welcomed by the minister. I also had the opportunity, members of council, as I mentioned to you, that I was able to speak with the minister along with the deputy with regard to Garifraxa Street, which is part of the Highway 6 corridor, and the need to have a coordinated effort between the three orders of government, being West Grey, Grey County, and the province, in terms of dealing with our underground infrastructure, which is incredibly aging, and where we could coordinate with road rehabilitation and road reconstruction of Highway 6, as well as ultimately get to streetscaping. So the minister heard me, was well received for the discussion, and there will be further meetings. So I just wanted to let you know on the success of that, and that we'll have further action to be taken. Newstep Minor Soccer registration is currently taking place, and if you check out their website, you will be able to register and also find out more information. Grey County Master Plan dealing with cycling and trails was received at a Committee of the Whole at Grey County. It needs approval from Grey County Council, but there is an information session on March 12th. At 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I certainly would encourage you, Councillor Hutchinson, to be a part of that, or anybody else and on council and our community as well. Stay tuned for a report from Grey County staff with regard to a potential Highway 4 transit corridor. That's something that we have requested a staff report on options and possibility. So that's pending and coming forward to a future Grey County agenda. Just one final note, we have another budget meeting this Friday at 8:30 a.m. here in the council chambers, and we'll be addressing that budget. Polar plunge on March 13th. The plunge is scheduled for 12:45 p.m. and I hope everyone can attend that. And March is Fraud Prevention Month. For further information, certainly check out the Facebook page of West Grey Police Service. That was a lot. There's a lot going on, and it needed its due diligence for information, and I timed it earlier. It was under 3 minutes. So, Deputy Mayor, please.
That was good. That's a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
Thank you. First off, I just want to say to the director that I've been getting a lot of compliments over the sidewalks and the snow removal from both businesses and residents. And I just wanted to make sure that I would echo that, the compliments, and there's quite a few of them, so it's really making an impact out there. I too was at Ogra, our Good Roads with the mayor and Councillor Townsend. Learned quite a bit on some new alternative plans for bridges and various infrastructures, but we're going to bring that forward and as we move along and see if we can get some of this stuff put into the community here. Finally did our last hockey tournament on Saturday down in Ayton. I know Mayor Robinson showed up with Councillor Hamilton to enjoy arena hot dog, and they braved the cold arena, but
That's right.
That's it. I'm finally at the end of that long season. The only other thing I would like to mention is Sunday, March the 29th, is the Treks for Tourette in Ayton. And the last 2 years, they were #1 in Canada, and they're striving to achieve that goal again this year. So I'm going to be there helping them out with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hutchinson, please.
Yeah, just was going to mention the Trails Master Plan. That was a cancellation from last week, which I had a conflict, so I'm glad it's been put off, so hopefully I can make that. And We are on the map, but I just like to hopefully work to bring it to the forefront and maybe get a little more details for West Gray. Another meeting that's coming up, I just want to mention, is a politicians meeting with the Federation of Agriculture on March 14th in it's Elmwood Community Center during the afternoon, so that's a Saturday. That's it for me.
Thank you. Councillor Hutchinson, thank you, Councillor Hutchinson. Councillor Hamilton, please.
So speaking of Elmwood, I wanted to invite all of council and staff in our community. Elmwood Chamber of Commerce is having their dinner and AGM, their annual dinner and AGM. It's on Friday, March 20th at 6 p.m. and that would be at Elmwood. So I encourage you to come. It's always a fun night and you can learn all about the Elmwood community and enjoy supper together. And I was wondering, the Polar Plunge Friday, March 13th, maybe this is the year all of council takes the plunge and we empty the water. But I encourage you to consider taking the plunge. I know Councillor Hergert has. And you know what was more shocking wasn't the cold water, it was how quickly you hit bottom. Thank you.
Thank you, too. Councillor Shea, please.
So I, with several of you, attended a very moving tribute to a fallen officer recently, and a salute to our force and all of the law enforcement officers in the area. There was a terrific turnout from, there were several hundred officers from all the different forces that came out to that. I also wanted to mention that the province is doing a review of the scope of conservation authorities, and they have a survey online right now. You can probably Google that to find out how conservation authorities should be scaled up or scaled down moving forward. So I think we know which way the province wants to scale them, but you can have your voice heard as well.
Thank you. Councillor Hergert.
Yes, and just to follow up, that's on the Ontario Environmental Registry that you can find that survey just mentioned. So I was able to assist in judging the 812 Air Cadet Squadron Effective Speaking Competition. We have some really stellar young people in our community that never fail in bringing out lots of information in their 3 to 5 minute speech. So anyway, that was quite a delight. We have a community garden that was proposed earlier today at Committee of the Whole. That is something Councillor Shea and I will be looking after, and we'll be bringing that forward at another Committee of the Whole meeting for Council's approval to that. Last night we were in Neustadt at Sills Photography, and it was quite the block last night in Neustadt. There was crafts going on next door, and then the 4-H kids had a tour of the photography studio. So thank you very much to Amanda Sills for the tour of her location. Also, CD Saturday is coming up. That's a collaboration between the Durham Horticulture and the library, and that is March 14th, I believe. So check Facebook for that one. Thanks so much.
Good. Councillor Townsend, please.
Yeah, as previously mentioned, I also went to the Good Roads Conference. Lots of activity going on still at the province, and in this case, I'm going to say quite a few of them are to our advantage. They're actually looking at changing the requirements for environmental assessments, which should reduce the number you need, and if you even need it, and perhaps even the level of assessment you have to do, more coming out in April, so they say. We also were able to find some things regarding traffic safety, which is a working group that's underway, and we'll see how that plans, or sort of fends out to see whether or not it allows us to make plans to be able to get things done a little better. And of course, hot topic of asset management and infrastructure was pretty well everywhere throughout it, so there was lots to learn and lots to see. Saturday, the wife and I went to the Legion and sat through the tribute to the tragically hip. Not exactly what I grew up with, even though they said everyone here probably grew up with us. I wanted to remind them I'm a little older for that. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. The place was absolutely jammed, no pun intended. But they made money for the oncology unit up at the Owen Sound Hospital. And the Legion really made out like a bandit on the bar and whatnot. And so that's good for them as well. And they need those kind of events to keep them going. And hopefully we'll see more of that. Sadly, we have to say that the Durham Thundercats did not make it to the next round of the playoffs, but they put up a really good show for at least 5 of the 6 games. I understand the last one was pretty sad, but again, they did well, and it's really something they should be proud of to get as far as they did. As far as the other one was the Special Olympics I was going to mention as well. It is on the 13th. I've already committed to sponsoring 2 people. I encourage everybody to do the same thing. If you can't plunge, then pay. It's as simple as that because the money will go to a good cause. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. There's always something going on in West Grey, and it's evident by the activity that council partakes in, and also our community is most active. So very well done to each and every one of you, and to our community at large, for sure. All right, so item 11 is delegations. There are none. And then item 12, business arising from the previous meeting. Anything? Okay, yep, Councillor Hergert.
I was curious if we could get an update on what Newstat is spending their downtown revitalization money on. I believe that date is coming up soon.
Madam CAO, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor, for the question. Newstat's allocation of the Main Street grant has been spent on Christmas lights that match the ones that the Lions Club has purchased.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much. Anything further on this item? Number? All right, very good. So I was originally scheduling a break here. I thought it would take a bit longer. Our clerk does not need a break, and I'm just wondering if we could just follow through. Members of council, thank you very much. Good. So we are now on staff reports. On item 13, we have one, which is the Director of Finance, Director Mighton. Would you take it away, please?
Yeah, the first report is just the accounts. They're pretty standard, nothing out of the ordinary, but if there's any questions.
Questions on that? Pardon me? Oh, Councillor Townsend, please.
Try to get the page number here.
Sure, take your time.
There were on page 8 of your report, there's 2 fairly significant repairs. One for $12,623 and the other one for $19,526. I just wondered how old those vehicles in that were.
Through your worship, essentially those expenses were for grader repairs. I believe the one for $12,000 was on our oldest grader. I believe that's a 2002. And the other one is on, I'm not exactly sure how old that grader is. It's newer. But that was the amount for $19,000 or in change there. That was for that grader as well, and it had transmission work done to it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Further? Okay, anything? All right, so I do have a motion before me then, if everybody's ready for it. So that is moved by Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, seconded by Councillor Shea. Be it resolved that the Director of Finance and Treasurer be authorized to pay the account presented as voucher number 3-2020 in the amount of $893,963.20 of the Municipality of West Grey. Comments, questions on the motion, please? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. We have one further report from our director. All right, just give me a moment. And that is dealing with I have it. So this is dealing with title accounts for approval. Director Mighton, would you provide some
Yeah, so that
information?
one, I should have changed the title, but the services looking for approval, they have in their budget for 2020 purchasing 2 vehicles, and there's a long waiting list from order time to arrival due to availability of cruisers. So they're looking at having that approved, the capital budget approved, to allow them to go ahead and start that process.
Right. Okay, anything further? Yep, go ahead, Councillor Townsend, Councillor Hergert.
Yes, I would move recommendation on that.
Okay, well, I very, very much appreciate it. We have this, so thank you very much for that support. Anything further? Councillor Hutchinson, please.
Yeah, I was sort of curious when I saw that. I thought, well, maybe that was one way of trying to get our budget down, because I believe that's in our budget this year.
Yes.
I just wondered, what kind of reserves do we have in the police service area? Do we know?
Don't have that with me, but they weren't looking at pulling any reserve for the purchase of the vehicles, I don't think. I think it
Yeah,
was
I think it was 85,000 that was in the budget.
Yeah, and I
the
think
levy.
it was sale of
Yeah.
the two, like
Okay.
they'll get rid of a couple cars and hope to get a bit of sale.
Yeah, okay, we'll just
Yeah.
keep it in mind.
Yeah, we're looking for the replacement of this. So anything further? I can move ahead with moved by Councillor Hutchinson, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Be it resolved that the council approves $90,000 from the 2020 West Grey Police Service capital budget for the purchase of 2 police vehicles. On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Great, so that does complete staff reports, and now we're on to bylaws. Yeah, new business will follow this, okay? Yeah, no, thank you, Clerk Turner, that's really important. All right, so we're first dealing with proposed bylaw 14-2020, moved by Councillor Shea, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hutchinson. Be it resolved that bylaw number 14-2020, being a bylaw to appoint a joint health and safety committee for the corporation of the Municipality of West Grey, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation and engrossed in the bylaw book. Questions? Clerk Turner first.
Just for
please.
clarification,
Yep.
so the change was Richard Moore was replaced by Cody Hewlett as an employee representative on the committee.
Thank you for that clarification. Further? Nothing? On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. Now we're dealing with proposed bylaw number 15-2020. Moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Hutchinson. Be it resolved that bylaw number 15-2020, being a bylaw to appoint a deputy secretary treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment for the Municipality of West Grey, be now read first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Comments, questions? On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. So we've got one further bylaw, which is proposed bylaw 16. Moved by Councillor Hergert, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Be it resolved that bylaw number 16-2020, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the March 3rd, 2020 council meeting, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Okay, so that takes us off the bylaws and new business. Let's first deal with pulling the Conservation Authority minutes and then seeing if there's anything further. Councillor Hergert.
Yes, so in reading the minutes there, on page 58 of our entire agenda, it says that there was a motion moved by yourself, Mayor Christine Robinson, and seconded by Tom Hutchison, Deputy Mayor, that Soggy Valley Conservation staff submit a review to the authority on regulatory property violations, and further that options and recommendations for change and improvement be submitted. And so I guess I'm curious what the intent of that motion is. I don't know, I just don't understand it. I don't
Yeah.
understand
no,
where it
that's
came
fine.
from. So I'm just curious there.
Yep. Okay, so let me answer that before we go any further. One of the commitments that we have as representatives is to ensure that there's process improvement. So that is what we're looking for in terms of how it's being managed at the Conservation Authority. So that's just one aspect. There's other areas of interest that we'd be looking at as a board in terms of process improvement, so this is just one of those. When the report comes forward, I will alert council or let everyone know about it, and we could look at that enhancement. Deputy Mayor, anything further?
And in addition to that is some of the language on how it's put out. We want to get it into a paragraph that we could actually understand, because some of it can get a little bit out there, so that you can't understand. So that'll be part of that when we get there.
We're just looking for a clear and concise process, ensuring that in terms of language, that it is
Right.
appropriate language for clarity, keeping the language that there's understanding of process for our landowners and also for board members to understand process.
So this talks about regulatory property violation. So if there's a violation, like the wording on an order or a word, like that kind of wording? Sorry, I just
Yep.
took that right from the minute. I guess I'm still not.
Well, I mean, I don't know what more I could say. We're just looking for process improvement, and we've asked for a report back. When that report is available, I'll ensure that council sees it, and if you have any further questions, that could be taken back to the board. Okay? So, anything further? Nothing further? Okay. Do we need to move the motion on these minutes, or how do we handle that, Clerk Turner?
It may just be as easy to bring them back for the next council meeting.
Okay, and that sounds good. We'll bring that forward. All right, any other new business? Clerk Turner, you would have some, oh, okay. We will, under direct motion, have a little bit of activity, so that's fine on new business. Any addendums? Clerk Turner? No? Okay. So item 17, notice of motion, direct motions. We have a few. We had a committee of the whole meeting this morning, and we're processing some of those requests at this council meeting because of the need to have them addressed now as opposed to 2 weeks from now. Clerk Turner?
So with two-thirds majority of council approval from the committee of the whole meeting earlier today, I'd like to introduce Bylaw 17 of 2020, being a bylaw to designate reduced load periods on portions of municipal highways, which was presented earlier by the Director of Infrastructure. Also introduce a motion relating to the purchase of tree saplings for inclusion in the 2020 budget. That'll be proposed for the Glen Elk Hall property. And then there's also 3 resolutions, again, passed by the Committee of the Whole recommending council approval relating to a possible approval for expansion of natural gas into the Ayton and Newstat through Enbridge Gas. So I do have 3 resolutions relating to that. And then as a result of some discussions in closed session earlier about going to present a bylaw number 18 of 2020 to make one change to the citizen appointments as it relates to the climate change subcommittee.
Okay, we're just circulating that. Did members of council receive the bylaw on this side, on the proposed?
I think everyone has a copy. Once we get formally
Okay.
okay to introduce those, we can discuss.
Sounds good. So can I call a 2/3 vote on all of these, or are you looking for procedurally that we handle them differently, Clerk Turner?
Let's hope we can get 2/3 for every, if that's, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You want a break? Okay. Yes, that is absolutely fine. We are going to take a break after all, and let's have that now, so we will come back. Thank you very much. Good. Okay, I'm calling the meeting back to order. That break was absolutely necessary, so thank you very much, Council, for that latitude. We are on item 17, which is notice of motion, direct motion. The clerk had identified the items for direct motion. I'm looking for a 2/3 vote on all of them, unless you're wanting a separate vote. Are we okay with the bulk? All right, on all of these items for consideration for direct motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, it does carry. So thank you very much. Clerk Turner, I believe you may have some motions to circulate at the appropriate time.
Yeah, the first one relates to Bylaw 17 of 2020, and I believe the Director of Infrastructure will just update council on some of the amendments as from the Committee of the Whole's meeting earlier.
Thank you, Director.
Okay, Your Worship, members of council, I'd like to bring your attention to, with respect to Bylaw 17, 2020, and I'm just going to kind of go through some of the changes. We call it the load restriction bylaw, so that was in the title, of course. In the definitions, we changed the definition to reflect Director of Public Infrastructure and Public Works or designate with respect to enforcing the bylaw and the dealing of applications and so forth. After that, I would turn your attention to the Schedule A. And essentially, the connecting link, Garifraxis Street, would be the only exempted highway within our jurisdiction that we would have jurisdiction over as a connecting link road. All other county roads and so forth would be posted, et cetera, through the county. And essentially, other than that, those were the main amendments that were made to the bylaw in comparison to the draft that was before you this morning. And the one issue or one item that was requested was to determine if the $100 permit fee is something that would be reasonable or ought to be increased. After polling some different municipalities, I think $100 is reasonable. My research, there were fees anywhere from $80 and change upwards of $110 or so. But we can keep an eye on those. And seeing as this is a rather considerable amendment to our existing bylaw. Oh, I should bring that to your attention as well.
Yep.
That it's been repealed in the item 6.4, that bylaw number 8206 is hereby repealed. So that's the smaller one-page one, and that this one's replacing that. So with that being said, and with this being a rather considerable amendment, I think $100 would be reasonable to request. We'll monitor that, and if there's if we notice that for whatever the reason may be, that if other fees are increasing for, I'm not exactly sure why they would, but we can pull other municipalities and make sure that we're collecting the right amount of fees for the work that's being done.
Okay. Thank you for all that hard work and so efficient in terms of the turnaround time for that. Okay. Are we good with everything? And can I introduce the bylaw then? Wonderful. Moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Hutchinson. Be it resolved that bylaw number 17-2020 being a bylaw to designate reduced load periods on portions of municipal highways, in brackets, repeals bylaw number 8-2006, end of bracket, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed as amended and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Clerk Turner.
Yeah, I guess it would be appropriate to as amended from what the committee of the whole was originally.
Yes? Okay. Anything further? On the motion for this bylaw, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. That's what you call thinking on your feet, Clerk Turner. When you look for a process. So that deals with the one. Are we now dealing with the trees, potentially? That would be this one. Moved by Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, seconded by Councillor Shea. Be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby approve utilizing funds allocated to the Sustainability Advisory Committee from the 2020 budget to the recreation budget for the purpose of tree saplings to a maximum of $350 as recommended by the Committee of the Whole for the planting at Glenelg Hall property. Anything to add? Any questions? Councillor Townsend and then Councillor Shea.
Can you just refresh my memory? Was that 175 trees?
It's like 172 in that order. I didn't put the actual number as opposed to the dollar amount.
Okay, thank you. That's fine.
Councillor Shea.
I guess I would have liked the treasurer to have been here, but we're doing this because the sustainability budget has not been approved yet. and so we can't spend money out of that budget.
That is correct, yeah.
But the recreation budget hasn't been approved either, has it?
The
But she's not here, so I'll just let
yeah.
the question
Well,
dangle.
the recreation budget hasn't been approved, but how would that flow through recreation, Madam CAO? That's a good question that needs answered.
Thank you for the question. The new items of the recreation budget, you're correct, Councillor, have not been approved. The operation, well, technically no one's budget has been approved, but this would be pending approval of all of the budgets. It would just be a transfer of funds.
Okay, good. Anything further on the motion? All those in favor then? Opposed, if any? Carried. Okay, so that's on it. So I think we're dealing with the Ambridge. First of three. Two, three, okay. The next one is moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Hutchinson. Be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of West Grey requests the Mayor to send a letter to Murray Costello, Director of Southeast Operation, Enbridge Gas Inc., formally expressing the Municipality of West Grey's interest to have the Ayton and Neustadt expansion project include on Enbridge Gas list of projects being proposed to the Ontario Energy Board, and in brackets OEB, end of bracket, for consideration for the financial support through the natural gas expansion program as recommended by the Committee of the Whole. Comments? We're looking for the vote. Anticipating that on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? It does carry. Thank you. So this is the next one in the order. Moved by Councillor Hergert, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby supports making a financial contribution towards the proposed Ayton and Neustadt expansion project by Enbridge Gas, Inc. in the amount equivalent to the property tax that would be recovered on the new natural gas infrastructure for a period of 15 years, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole. Questions, comments? On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed? It does carry. And number 3, moved by Councillor Hutchinson, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby requests the Mayor to send a letter of support to MPP Bill Walker for the Enbridge Natural Gas Expansion Project into Ayton and Neustadt as recommended by the Committee of the Whole. Comments? Questions? On the motion, please. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Clerk. And this is the final item for a direct motion. Moved by Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, seconded by Councillor Shea. Be it resolved that bylaw number 18-2020 being a bylaw to appoint citizens to various committees, in brackets, repeals bylaw number 12-2020, end of bracket, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Comments, questions? On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed? It does carry. Thank you, Clerk Turner. All right, so that completes item 17. Item 18 was dealing with closed session incomplete items only. That isn't it. Oh, yes, please. Councillor Hutchinson.
Can I just make a point of clarification
Yes.
regarding a question that was asked during those bylaws, had to do with the tree planting? So when I look back at our report from our recreation supervisor, it says that it was about the monies and where the money was coming from.
Good.
That the Committee of the Whole recommends Council approve utilizing funds from the 2019 recreation budget for the purchase of tree saplings to a maximum of $350. And further, that the pending approval of the 2020 budget, Committee of the Whole recommends Council direct staff to reallocate funds to the 2020 recreation budget from the 2020 allocation to the Sustainable Advisory Committee. So the funds, the way I read that the funds came out of the operating budget from REC from the 2019.
We have to change.
No? Oh, that's not right?
Madam CAO, please. And thank you for that. Nope,
Okay.
thank you for bringing that forward.
And thank you for the opportunity to clarify that staff report. The 2019 budgets have been closed, so there is no more spending on 2019. The treasurer's recommendation is that much cleaner and much more eloquent resolution that council received tonight, that it is a 2020 project, so we're talking $2020.
Okay? Okay, good, all right, thank you. It's always good to have an abundance of information and clarity, for sure. Okay, so we finished 18. 19 is matters arising from the closed session, so that's NA. Question period, that's for our audience, of which tonight there is not any. Item 21, Municipal Act notices, Clerk Turner? None, NA. Item 22, who would like to move a motion for adjournment? Councillor, or Deputy Mayor and Councillor Townsend, on the motion to adjourn? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, carried. Thank you. All right.